What up, everybody? Markisha has been a hot topic since the last episode of BMF. People saying she's just out for T's money, she's trying to get pregnant by T, that she's a gold digger. And I want to address this in today's video. I want to look at if Markisha is a gold digger or if she is just toxic. Because I can guarantee you this, one way or another, Markisha is going to be around until the end. She ain't going nowhere. If you go all the way back to episode 1 of this season, the very first scene when T is about to flee, he's in St. Louis picking up some money, I think like $6 million in cash or something. He's about to flee to Mexico. He is on the phone with Markisha and he picks up their picture as he's leaving. So she gonna be around all the way until the end. Even when the BMF spin-offs come into place, the BMF Immortal spin-offs, when Meech and T go on their separate ways, you will see Markisha with T. They will be running things from T's side, Markisha and T. That's who he gonna be in a relationship with all the way from now all the way until he goes to prison. So they might be on and off, they might separate. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't have the full backstory of their relationship, but I know that that character is going to be around all the way until the very end. So might a lover or hater, you might as well get used to Markisha being with T on BMF, because she gonna be around. And I don't honestly have too many problems with Markisha. Like a lot of people been calling her a gold digger. So I want to get into that. We were first introduced to Markisha in the very first episode of season 1, but she had a very limited role. All she did was walk into Pat's party and just walk past Meech and T, and she was introduced as Boom's wife at that point, Boom being a fellow drug trafficker somewhere along the level that Pat was at the time. She was reintroduced again the first episode of this season at a basketball game, when we were also introduced to K9, and T was basically lusting after her at the basketball game and calls T to start pursuing her after that, going into her job as his family started the car service. It was a good excuse for T to begin showing up at Markisha's job. And though Markisha has a job, she's definitely not making a whole lot of money, because we definitely learned in the first episode of this season when T went into her job that she is working off of commission. So we can doubt that she's making too much money, but Boom basically takes care of her financially. I guess she just works a job basically to have her own money, because we did hear about another episode later on, without getting too ahead of myself, that Boom abused her. One of the episodes Boom abused her in, he accused her of stealing his money, or at least that's what Markisha told T. So after that, they began warming up. She began warming up to T. They went on a little date to go shopping to get some things for his car service, and then they went on another date to a nice restaurant. And thus they began to get to know each other. At this point, their relationship was simply platonic, either though T definitely was showing interest that he wanted to be with Markisha, bringing her flowers and everything like that, but she flashed him the ring and let him know that she was married. But all the way up until this point, she's basically hanging out with T, and or whatever you want to call it, but T ain't really no big timer or nothing like that at this point. So there's no sign that she is gold digging for T at this point. And then we see Markisha leaving her job late at night one night with a black eye as T shows up, and she tries to avoid eye contact with him, but T eventually notices her black eye, and this is when they have their first kiss. So still at this point, T ain't really offering her anything financially. Even then, after that, he gets Markisha to tell him where Boom's gonna be, and he hooks up with Boom to get 5 kilos on consignment, which end up getting seized by the cops. So at this point, T and Meech have to flee to Atlanta with basically nothing to their names. T is flat broke, in debt to Boom over 5 kilos, on the run from the police. And guess what happens? He goes to visit Markisha and smashes Markisha for the first time with absolutely nothing to his name but his car and his necklace. So it's not looking like Markisha is any type of gold digger. Then we move on, and Boom puts her and her kids out, and T has to pick them up on the side of the road somewhere, and T takes them to a hotel. And she ends up kicking T out of the hotel and says she's just going to go back to be with Boom, basically because T is not in a position to take care of her and her children financially. And even though as bad as Boom may be, at least T is a good provider. So this is when people started thinking Markisha might be a gold digger. Then as T moves up in the game and gets his Colombian Connect Cena, we now see him going back to pay Boom back his debt to Markisha, and as well as telling Markisha he's the plug now. And now we see Markisha all about T, and now she wants to be in a relationship with him. So with all this being shown, does that indicate Markisha to be a gold digger? And I don't really feel like it does, honestly. Like, yes, she didn't want to move into a serious relationship with T. I mean, she still hasn't even as of yet. But she was sleeping with T when he had nothing going for him. She was hanging out with him when he wasn't even in the game, trying to just help him come up in the car service. So I don't see Markisha as a gold digger. I feel like she ain't want to be in a relationship with nobody who can't support her and her 2 kids. That's because she's already got 2 kids that need to be taken care of, and they are being supported in the relationship that she's currently in with Boom. As bad as he may be, at least he is financially stable enough to take care of her and her children. So I completely see where Markisha is coming from, and I don't consider Markisha a gold digger. What I do consider Markisha is to be very, very toxic. We've been talking about is in a abusive relationship with Boom. So now I would never in a million years condone a man hitting a woman. I would never condone it in a million years. I don't believe in that, period. So don't get me wrong here. But we only have heard one side of the story. We honestly don't know if Markisha attacks Boom first, if she does, what she actually does to Boom to provoke his anger, to cause him to beat her. Now I feel like if a woman provokes you enough, you feel like you need to beat her, that's when you just need to leave the relationship. That's what Boom should have did instead of beating the woman. But we don't know what Markisha has done to provoke him. So there might be a lot of toxicity in their relationship already. Then that gets me to go back to Terry and Markisha's first kiss outside of her job when she had the black eye. So they have their first kiss while this girl has a black eye, right after she done got finished getting beat by her husband, Boom. So their relationship's toxic. I mean, he's already messing with a married woman, number one. Now he's kissing her right after she done got beat. I mean, I don't know if that's the best time to try to hook up with somebody. It's kind of like taking advantage of their vulnerability. So T kind of took advantage of her vulnerability at that point to really start getting into the relationship. Then we see her the first time she actually hooks up with T and sleeps with him. It's at her job, As T owes her husband, I don't know how much he owes him during a drought for 5 kilos, but it got to be a lot of money, and he's on the run. So she decides that's the perfect time to start sleeping with T. Then we get to the hotel when Boom put her, supposedly, we don't even know the true story about that. Why would Boom put her and her kids out? We don't really know what's going on with Boom in her relationship. She wasn't beat up that day. Supposedly Boom just had put them out. Or was she really just calling Terry? Did she leave and she called Terry to pick her up? We don't really know the full story, the full backstory behind Markisha and Boom's relationship. We really don't know the full story behind what is going on there, because there's 2 sides to every story. But anyway, she wants to go to Terry's place, but Terry said it's better for them to go to a hotel. So she asks no questions about why they're at the hotel. Nothing like that. She goes ahead and sleeps with him and all that. Everything's all good, and he's playing video games with her children. It's then she wants to question Terry about, does he have somebody else or whatever's going on with him. That is playing mind games. She first slept with the man, had him feeling uncomfortable like everything was good, then kicks him on out and throws him to the curb. So another sign that this girl is definitely toxic. That gets me to the most recent episode, and I want to go to the scene where they are at the mall and she's trying on coats, and Terry says, you know what, I'm just gonna buy them all for you. So Meech is buying gifts for his mama, his sister, renting out the skating rink for the entire community, while Terry's busy spending his extra money on designer jackets for Markisha, a married woman. So god dang, I mean, if Markisha's toxic, Terry got to be almost just as bad as Markisha. But anyway, while he's at that store buying her the jackets, we see Markisha, if you notice real carefully, stealing one of the jackets from the mall. This is after T is already buying her as many of the jackets as she wanted. But that wasn't good enough for Markisha. She went ahead and had to steal a jacket anyway. Then that gets me to Terry cutting his tail. So this was like his bond or something with Meech, as they both had this tail, and I don't know, they've probably had it for a number of years. And this girl gets Terry to cut his tail without even first talking to Meech about it or anything. And that really pissed Meech off, because he felt betrayed by Terry for Terry doing this. And let me tell you, just for all y'all out there, if you don't know, I'm gonna school you on something. Never take advice from your girlfriend, your wife, your mama, your grandma, or anybody, any female like that, on how you need to cut your hair, style your hair, or your facial hair, or whatever it is, because those particular girls who you're in a relationship with, or your mama or whatever, they want you to look square. They want you to look like what Meech says in L7. They want you to look basic, because they do not want you to look like a player or nothing like that in any type of way. No type of way so other females be expressing interest in you. They want you to be looking as basic and as square as possibly. Basically, they want you to look conformed. So that's just a piece of advice. You can take it or you can throw it out, but never take advice on how you should wear your hair, your facial hair, anything like that from your girlfriend, your wife, your mama, or your grandmama. They ain't gonna tell you how you're gonna look your best. They gonna tell you how you look square, how you can look good square. But that is another sign that Markisha is toxic, and T hooking up with Markisha could very well be his downfall, because I don't know the full backstory. We know a lot more about Meech's life than we know about Terry's life. But this could very well be his downfall. I don't know. She could help him, school him, and give him game on different things. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I definitely do know that Markisha is toxic. I don't feel like she's a gold digger. But there you have it. That's my thoughts on the whole Markisha situation. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Was Markisha a gold digger, toxic, both, or is she something else that I ain't mentioned in this video?